Hello, YouTube. I just wanted to briefly talk about something real quick. I was like, why not? Why not? So, somebody had put up a thing, and he had it for a while from 2022 with the scam likely. And I just wanted to talk about that real quick. And to me, a scam is not just somebody trying to sell you something over the phone. A friendship could be a scam. A relationship could be a scam. Hell, a marriage could be a scam. And I just wanted to talk about you cannot ignore the red flags. Cannot ignore the red flags. If somebody comes off a certain way in the beginning, you gotta be out. You have to be out, because if you're not, it's gonna be detrimental to your health, like for real. So, if you in a friendship, and now some people do change, I'm not gonna lie, some people do change, and it takes some people like don't have good social skills. So like my mother always taught me, even though she's not a going out type of a person herself, but my mother always taught me, always have your own. Like, always say no thank you, always have your own. Like, I'm 35 years old, and nobody could ever say that they paid my way. Nobody could ever say, oh, well, she needed. No. Like, my entire adult life, if I'm going out, I always have my own money. And, there's times when I've paid for people. So, if anything, I'm too nice. Can't nobody say I was the broke one in the group. Can't nobody say, oh, whatever. No. I make sure if I don't have it, which is very rare, but if I don't have it, I stay home, straight up, which is very rare because I work, but, I stay the fuck home. And I feel like that's how people should be, whatever. But if you in a friendship, or if you, I don't know if I told you about my recent experience. I told y'all about the cleaning guy, right? But recently, and I don't care if he's watching this, whatever, it's a guy that I met at BAM. So y'all know BAM, Memorial Day weekend, they have a whole thing. They sell food. The food was disgusting, by the way. I don't care. It was disgusting. I would never buy food from BAM ever again. Like, that's a dub. But they have food. They had the African dancing in the morning, and then those same people that was teaching us how to dance, they performed, that same day. So it was a very nice treat. Only $12. You can't beat that. And then the party was absolutely free. They had an Afro Beats party. Now, I don't typically go to parties by myself, but I had never been to an Afro Beats party. So I was like, hey, this sounds good and it's free. Let me not miss out, because this is something that they do at BAM once a year. So I was like, dang, if I don't go, I'm not going to have a chance to go until next year, which is a long time from now, right? A whole year. So I was like, well, let me just go. Let me just check it out. And sure enough, the party was really good. Like, would I go again? Yes, I would make sure I go with somebody. And it actually was a very good experience. Afro beats all night long. The DJ, he played like a couple of soca songs, but predominantly it was 95% Afro beats. It was really good. Yeah, and then they did like a little rest in peace thing, because the person that the DJ said that the girl that put him on, she passed away. So they had like a little collage of her different pictures of her working at BAM and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah. The DJ was paying homage to the girl who got him the job as a DJ at BAM, and she worked for BAM, and they did like a moment of silence for her. They put a collage of pictures together, and it was really nice. That was cool that they did that for her. I think that's so important to do that when a person's alive. Some jobs do it, but it's important to show your gratitude and give people their flowers when they're alive, because when they're dead, they can't smell them. Like literally, not just metaphorically, but yeah, it's good to give people their flowers when they're alive, because when they're dead, that's it. That's why people that's in my life, I make sure I appreciate them. I do right by them. Nobody that's alive could say I did them wrong. Nobody could say that. Nobody could say, oh yeah, Crystal did me dirty. I'm not that person. And if you're someone that I dated and you feel like that or messed around with, you messed up. Like, you messed up way, way more, and I was giving you chances. But overall, can't nobody say that I did them dirty. I never cheated on nobody. And when I say cheating, I'm talking about conversation too. You would never catch me in an inappropriate conversation with someone. I've never done that. Now, messing with somebody and they got a girl, that's another story. But yeah, I'm not a cheater. Like, I'll leave you before I cheat. What else? I pay my bills on time. My rent is good. Like, can't nobody say anything about my character. I don't borrow money from people. And I hope that I never have to do that, because, people, everybody go through hard times. If you have a job, I don't understand. You need to fit things amongst your means. And if that's not enough, like what I'm about to do today, you get a second job. I don't understand, to each their own, but can't nobody say, oh, this bitch did it. No. I don't owe any creditors. Can't nobody say nothing about me or owing money. Can't nobody say that in respect, in truth. Can't nobody say that. Now, with the NYCHA rent thing, they doing it to everybody, where I didn't sign the lease in 2023, so they claim I owe money or something like that. Mind you, I pay rent every month, so whatever. But they're trying every which way to get rid of people. They had a guy, I was in the management office a few weeks ago, and they told the guy, oh, something wrong with your apartment, you need to leave. He came back and nothing is done. He's living in a hotel with his family. Then my other neighbor, she told me how she needs repairs in her apartment. Instead of fixing it, she's getting transferred out. She asked for a transfer anyway, but that's what they doing now. They trying to get rid of people any way they can. Any way they can. Just because somebody don't sign the lease, and the lady was like, oh, so you been a delinquent? I said, who? Delinquent is when you don't pay rent, miss. So what are you talking about? I pay my rent every month on time with no problem. I said, your problem is y'all think that everybody in the projects is the same, and we are not. Some of us are honest citizens just trying to get by. Everybody is not trying to get over in the system. And yeah, a good person doesn't mean that they're good for you. I wanted to say that again. Someone that's a good person, that doesn't mean that they're good for you. So I wanted to tell y'all about this dude I met. So we met or whatever. He was not very attractive. He wasn't ugly, but he wasn't really my type. But I figured, okay, he might be cool, whatever. Because typically, to be honest, dudes that come up to me in the street, the club, the party, whatever I go, I'm not giving you my number. I'm not, because how many other girls gave you their number? That's how I see it. I'm like, not just because of my age, but I've always been like that, even in my 20s. Like, that's too easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather talk to a coworker or talk to somebody that has a mutual friend. Like my ex, I met him through my coworker. That was my coworker's brother. And then my ex before him, I actually knew him from teenage years. We actually went to church together. So that's how I rather meet people. I rather not meet people like at a party, because I feel like don't know. I just feel like let's be honest, most men are not looking for a wife material in a party or clubs. They're not. They're just looking for a good time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But also the men that's in parties and clubs, they not really quality men. What I would consider quality men, they not. Like the one I told y'all about, I met Labor Day weekend. He was a quality man on paper. Like his resume, software engineer, where he lived at was really nice, whatever, but he had some other issues, like I told y'all, like, yeah. But with this dude, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I did stereotype him because of his locks, yes I did. And anybody who feel away, I guess that's you. But I'm like, okay, he's really short, he has long locks, so I kind of like knew certain things about him already. And some people might say, oh, that's a stereotype or a stigma. But for him, it actually was true. It actually came out true. So at first, I was not going to give him my number because I knew that that's not what I go for. And the problem in my past relationships, and if somebody was to ask me why didn't it last and why did I end it, it's because I have a habit of settling. I have a habit of dating guys that I don't like to look at. I have a habit of not listening to my gut. And I have a habit of giving people the benefit of the doubt, which is not good. Like, as a person, as a woman, you need to listen to that first instinct and don't listen to society. Society says, oh, give him a chance and this and that. You give these people a chance, and then what? And then what? So that's what I want to talk about, the scamming. So with this dude, another thing I need to work on is I tell all the beans so quickly. I'm an open book, so when a guy asks questions, I answer them. But what I need to learn is don't answer no questions. So I'm going to tell my ladies, don't answer these men. When they ask you about your past and all of this and your baby daddy, ask them the same question or just be like, give them the same answers. So I don't mind telling people about my son's father because there's nothing to really tell. Like, anybody who get with me, they don't have nothing to worry about, like, at all. We were never together. It was something that happened. Nobody believed in abortion, and so that's what happened. I made my mistake, and if somebody can't accept that, then that's their problem, not mine. It was 15 years ago. We all make mistakes. I learned from it. Obviously, I have one kid, so I learned from it, so yeah. But, yeah, so I was telling him things, and he was, like, being judgmental. And he was saying little comments like, oh, you was being a hoe? And I'm like, excuse me? Mind you, he said he was being a hoe. Like, he said he was telling on himself, saying how, oh, yeah, this. He was telling me little things about himself or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I was being a hoe. I said, that's not being a hoe. If you... Being a hoe to me, and I said everybody got their own definition. If you having multiple partners within a week constantly, that's a little extra, I feel like. But just because you have sex with 2 different people in a month, say for instance, right? For me, or for most women, it's because one of those guys, especially the younger, I'm talking about the younger days, like you 18, 19, early 20s. Like for me, once I had my son, I was more careful with who I laid down with. But when you first start having sex, most people sleep with randoms. That's just what it is, because you're experimenting, you're learning your body. It's a chemical and a mental thing. This is what they don't explain to kids. But when you're having sex, it's more than just, oh, yeah, I'm horny. It's a literal mental thing. It's literally chemical. It's emotional. You're learning your body. You literally are. So you start experimenting. For some people, they might be intimate with somebody that they don't like, or whatever the case may be. But What makes you a hoe now is when you know better, but you messing with, you know, 4 and 5 people in a week. That to me is hoeing. Or if you end up pregnant and you don't know who the father is, that's extra. That's like really, that's sad. Like that's just a sad situation. Like that's just like you don't have a clue at least. Like you raw dog both of them. Like it should be one of them condom, one of them raw dog. But both of them raw dog, that's crazy. You know, and you have girls that have a guy take the DNA, he ain't the father. They have 2 other people, he ain't the father either. So but I digress. But yeah, so he was talking about his little story, whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. He said how he had girls coming in and out his house, and I'm like, okay, you was single though, right? Okay, cool. But I noticed little things I would tell him, he was like a little judgmental, and I'm like, okay. Then something else I said. Oh yeah, this is what really made me feel like, okay, I don't want to talk to this dude. I was telling him about the writer that I was doing, the play I was gonna be in. He goes, oh, you was messing with him? And I'm like, why the fuck would I be messing with him? I just told you his whole character and everything I went through with him. Why would I then sleep with him? Like, I know we just met, but just the little talks that we've had. What? Like, so as the month go, mind you, he's telling me, oh, when I come from work, I'm going to call you, this, that, and the third. This is what he's saying, right? Implying that he has a job. So I was saying to him, I said, it's been a month that we've met. May 29th or 30th. One of them is the day we met. This is going to end of June. We going past Father's Day now. And I'm like, why haven't we gone out, right? Like, what's the problem? He was talking about going to a fancy restaurant. I said, fancy restaurants and, you know, European restaurants, they not cheap. You going to be paying at least $150. And that's just for food. I'm not even talking about drinks. I'm not talking about alcohol. I'm not talking about sodas or anything. Just your food alone is going to come up for 2 people. It's going to come up to $130, 40, 50 in New York City. You know, the way he was talking, like he wanted to go all out. And I said, you don't have to do that. Like, I want to see Donell Jones. So he was like, oh, I don't like Donell Jones. And I'm like, who's pursuing who? I didn't come up to you. You came up to me. I said, well, whatever. And I ended up going with my cousin. Me and my cousin, we had a great time, but it was a few things going on with the security guard. I made a complaint, whatever. Cool. So, I was like, you know, that's cheaper than dinner because the tickets were like $60 or whatever. I was like, yeah, whatever. So time goes by. He finally comes clean and he's like, he hasn't worked in the past 2 months. Like, and it's like, what the fuck? You haven't worked all this time. We've been talking for a month. And it wasn't every day, ladies. It wasn't until I said something, keep that in mind, or whatever. It wasn't until I said, why don't we talk on the phone? And then we had about, I want to say 4 or 5 conversations over the phone. It wasn't that many. It was like maybe 5 or 6, maybe, but it really wasn't that many conversations that we had on the phone. And the conversations we had was long because I'm a talker, you know. But along with me being a talker, I'm also a listener. I'm a very good listener and I don't forget shit. So when he said that, I'm like, you're a fucking liar. Like, you're a liar. How you gonna say, oh, you know, I'll call you after work and, oh, I'm on my way to work, and you know what I'm saying? I remember the shit he would say. And I'm like, all this time, you're not even fucking working? He's like, oh, I just went back last week. What? I'm like, so I said, you need to get your shit together before you even holler at a shorty. Granted, we all human and you might want, to get physical. He didn't even want to get physical with me. I'm like, whatever. I wasn't going to give him none anyway. But it's just the fact of, why did you approach me? That doesn't even make sense. Like, you don't even have a job. And I'm like, and I said that to him. I said, you seriously need to focus on you and getting your stuff together as a adult. It's not even about as a man, just as an adult. And for me too, I can't even really think about a relationship right now because I don't have my stuff together. Yeah, I got my degree, but I need a full-time gig and I don't. So that's my main focus. Like, I've been job hunting and stuff like that. But how can you be the best version of you and you are not put? I don't understand people logic. Like, you supposed to, before you chase any female, chase money first. Like, get your money together. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I really don't get that about some dudes. Like, and I've never met nobody like him. Like, this is a first. Like, And I kind of figured he was broke because, let's be honest, guys who have long locks, they typically don't make a lot of money because, and he even said it, he was like, how, because he did security for a number of years. And I said, well, how come you never applied for nothing better? Like, my last security job was World Trade Center and they paid good and I left that for Para. That was dumb. That was really, that was stupid, but whatever. But, yeah, I was like, so you've been doing security for 10 plus years. And why you never moved up? You was never a supervisor, a manager. He's like, he turned down corporate security jobs because of his hair. And I'm like, that's ignorant because bills is gonna keep going up. Like, nobody's gonna, I don't know his situation. He claimed he lived on his own, which I don't believe, because it's like, how you just go without income for 2 months? Like, me, I live in NYCHA, so my rent was dirt cheap, $218, so that was nothing. Now it's up. It went up to $734, but if your rent is $1,200, $1,500, there's no way you could go 2 months without working. That's impossible if you live on your own. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless if you have unemployment or something, and even that, like, I don't know, but whatever. But yeah, I had asked him, like, what was the end of your last relationship? Like, what did you do? That's how I asked him. I'd be like, what did you do? And he was like, oh, I left her because she worked too much. I said, excuse me? Oh, she worked too much. She was a nurse. I'm like, everybody works a lot. And he even said it. He was like, oh, he works a lot. So if you saying that you work a lot yourself and then your girl works a lot, what's the problem? Y'all both work a lot, but you gonna dismiss her and leave her because she works a lot? Like, nah, that don't sound right. And I said, what else is the reason? Like, you're not making sense to me. There's no way that that's the only reason why y'all are not together. That doesn't make sense. Like, as long as the person is where they are, I don't see what the issue is. It's not like she was hanging out with her friends or with another nigga. Now, if she was with another dude and you think she cheating on you, that's something totally different. But if she actually is at work and you FaceTiming her and she really is at work, or you're on the phone with her and you could hear her background, what is the problem? Yeah, so I was like, I know that can't be the reason. What's the other reason? He goes, oh, sometimes relationships, they just don't last. It just wasn't working out. Lie. Like, you're lying. There's definitely another concrete reason. Either y'all was never together and you just making this up, or it's something. It's no way that you just gonna break up. Oh, it just didn't work out. But yet I just sat there and told you a whole bunch of stuff about my ex, and that's something I have to work on, seriously. Like, when I talk to new people, especially in my life, and it's not even new people, it's men in specifics. And ladies, you could comment, subscribe, comment below if you meet a new guy and he asks you a bunch of questions, or you're telling him things, or he's asking you things that you feel like it's too soon to ask, but then when you ask him the same questions, oh, it's kind of none of your business, or I don't want to disclose that, or I don't want to. Tell me how many of y'all go through that, because that is one of my pet peeves. Like, it shows that you're secretive and you want to know everything about me, but you don't want to say nothing. Like, nah, I don't like that. Like, the good thing about my ex, he told me things. Like, he was not secretive. I told him things, he told me things too. So, and that's what's important, you know. All this secrets and I don't need to know this and I don't need to know that, but yet you want to know everything about me. No, that's not fair. That's not right. It's not right. You know, even little things. If somebody be like, oh, what school you went to for elementary, but they don't want to tell you where they went to school, no. Everything's a secret, like they work for the FBI. No, I'm not going to sit there and tell you everything, because you're not telling me. You're not telling me. You're not showing me. So why am I telling you? So that's something that I'm really working on, you know, keeping my business to myself, because these men don't need to know, unless if you're seriously dating, then that's when you tell them, okay, this happened, that happened. But yeah, and another thing he said that was interesting too, he's like, oh, I think I did say I worked for the DOE, but he was like, oh, I thought you made more money than me. I said, why would you assume that? So to me, it was giving gigolo. It was giving he wants somebody to take care of him. Like, you know, because he was fronting, talking about he want to take me to this nice place. But then when I said, yo, it's going to run you about $200. Oh, I don't spend that. I don't spend that. Okay, you just say you can't afford it. Don't say you don't spend that. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the lack of honesty is a very, very much turn off to me. Like, it's like, so I end up blocking him, right? Because I'm like, it was too many things. Like, he was ignorant. He was saying things like, oh, if a person got good hair and light skin, they mix with white. I said, but you got dark skinned people with straight hair too. That doesn't mean the person mixed with white. It's called Native American. Try again. So he said he was afraid of planes, saying that he'll shit in his pants and cry, and just the way he was describing it. What? Like, we 35. Like, he claimed he was 35, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I met him one time. We had a couple of conversations. We never hung out, because it wasn't until I blocked him that he was like, okay, we could go out. We could go out. Right? So we was going to go to Prospect Park. And then I thought about it. I said, Crystal, do you actually want to go to Prospect Park? No. I'm a type of person, you know how they be like long walks in the park? Yeah, when we're coming from something. If we're coming from dinner, a walk in the park is good. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would make sense, not just going to the park. No. It's not like I'm taking my son, when he was little, 8 or 9 year old, to the park. What the fuck? I'm not a dog. You know, I'm not a dog. I'm not an 8-year-old, 9-year-old. No, we're not doing that. Like, that's just whack, you know. And then it rained. Like, we were supposed to meet up at 8 o'clock. 8:45, it was supposed to rain. And it did. So I told him, I was like, I feel like that's a sign we don't need to be seeing each other. Like, how we plan something and it rains. Like, that's a sign. If that ain't a sign, I don't know what is. So, he was also insecure. He was saying, like comparing himself to the guys I was telling him to, saying, oh, I think I need to hit the gym. Like, nobody said you need to hit the gym. It's just the fact of, like, why would you be comparing yourself? because you're insecure. Like, just say it. You're insecure. He's like, oh, I'm not insecure. Like, yes, you are. I know what it looks like. So, like, you definitely are. Definitely. And then another thing I wanted to say, and I might ruffle some feathers by saying this, but I don't really care. Why do dark-skinned men, right? Why is y'all first preference light-skinned women? And I'm so serious because all the dark-skinned sisters I know, even in my family, they love them a dark man. As they should. As they absolutely should. So I don't understand how dark-skinned men, right? If you're telling me that your preference is light-skinned, but you're clearly not light-skinned, and then you get offended at a Chris Brown saying that he don't like dark women. Chris Brown is not dark-skinned. His mother is not dark-skinned. Just like with me. My father is light-skinned, right? My cousin, Mel, is light-skinned. He's very light. So obviously, if that's what I'm around and that's what I see, especially as a little girl, that's what I'm going to be attracted to. You know, some people call it Oedipus, whatever. But whatever is surrounding you, that's what you're going to be attracted to. That's just natural, right? Like my mother, her first preference is always, which I didn't know, but I found out from a cousin, she actually likes dark-skinned men, which makes sense because like her and my dad don't get along, because that's, my father's not her first preference. Her first preference is dark men. She's dark. So of course she likes dark men, right? Which makes sense. It was confirmed by her cousin, right? She prefers dark men. Your first preference should be something that looks like you. It should never be something that doesn't look like you, right? Now, if you end up with somebody that's not your complexion and you just end up with the person, that's different. But I feel like that's very sad to me when dark men, their first preference is something that's light-skinned. What makes you think we want you? Like, what makes you, if you are obese, and I'm not going to say fat, because fat, people have different definitions of fat. But if you are obese, right, short, well, he wasn't obese, but let's just put it out there. If you are obese, and I had to tell a maintenance guy this, you are obese. You look like you ate your whole family. You are very obese. You're not fat. Heavy D is fat, right? You are obese. You are past fat, right? You are very dark, right? You look like Biggie Smalls, right? You could be his cousin, brother, whatever. And you go after a girl that looks like Aaliyah or Ciara. Do you honestly think she's gonna be attracted to you? Like, this is the way, I don't know how men think sometimes, but you have to be realistic in your choices of dating. Like, and if you don't look like that, you have to do other things to make yourself attractive, with money, your swag, your personality. Like, you have to work on other things to, you know what I'm saying? So this guy was like how his ex was a Colombian girl. She was a nurse. And it's believable because some girls, they never dated a black guy. So they just like, oh, okay. They just get with anyone that they could get. So it's believable because some black men, they do end up with the finest women, you know, for various reasons. But that's just the question I want to ask. Like, you know, you look a certain way, right? Why are you gonna go after something that's like untouchable or unreachable? Like, why are men not realistic with? Now, most women, we don't care about looks, because trust me, there's a lot of great looking men that I have turned down because they had no personality. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. I've had, like I told y'all with my first stalker, he was cute. He had a nice body. And my friends from school, they was like, well, why you don't like him? He was a fucking weirdo. And I felt it from the very beginning. He was off, right? But he was very cute, right? Cuteness is not, swag and confidence is what's gonna get me every time. So, and you just happen to be cute, you know, whatever. But that's the question I want to ask. Like, it's nothing wrong with dating something that don't look like you, but it should never be your first preference. If you are a dark man, I feel like that should be your first preference. Just like with dark women. Every dark woman that I know, whether it be from school or, family, whatever, they all love them a dark man. That's the first. They be like, Crystal. I be like, yo, I love me a caramel. I love me a caramel man. I love it. I love me a light skin. I don't like Chris Brown's complexion. He a little bit too light for me. But I love me a caramel man. But you know why? Because we extinct. We dinosaurs. There's not that many of us out there. I was telling my homegirl, I was like, yo, we really are extinct. Like, it's hard to find a man with caramel skin. Like, and when I see it, I be like, oh my God, where has he been all my life? So, and that's how dark women feel about, they love their complexion. Most dark women, they want them a chocolate man, as they should. So, is society to blame? Is Beyonce to blame? Why is it that so many dark men, they don't want their dark sisters? They want something light. They want something either my complexion or lighter. They prefer it actually lighter, like Gina. Why is that? And to conclude, what I'm saying is, he was a scammer. I don't know if he would have scammed me or try to get money out of me. But fellas, if your money is funny, stop trying to holler at a girl, because it's just not, it's embarrassing. Y'all need to stop. Like, that was my first experience, because even dudes who don't have jobs, they at least sell drugs. They drive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know any man that's just dead ass broke. And I told him, I was like, yo, you not about to make me meet you in some park. Like, that's not what I want to do. I actually want to go out, but you ain't got no money. I'm not going through that. Like, we just met and your money is funny. No, thank you. I wish you well. Have a good life. Goodbye. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Just comment below.